Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. It's Liam from Push Square here, and I have something very exciting for you today. If you've been following the website or our social media, you may have noticed that we received something pretty cool in the post this week. That's right, we have access to a PlayStation 5. Today we have some early impressions for ASTRO'S Playroom, as well as some thoughts about the console's new controller, DualSense. This piece was written by our editor, Sammy Barker, for the Push Square website. For more PlayStation 5 news and impressions, do make sure to check out the website. Before we start, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, it would really help us out. The problem with these pre-release previews for next-gen technologies like the DualSense is that they can dampen some of the discovery for those who must wait until the 12th of November to experience it for themselves. In this particular instance though, it's impossible to spoil the experience because it's difficult to even describe how revelatory this controller actually is. Look, we don't live in a vacuum, and we're aware that games writers around the globe have been waxing lyrical about PlayStation 5 packing ASTRO'S Playroom and its use of the platform's new pad all week. With various embargoes in place, we're not going to be able to add much to the discussion that hasn't already been said, but please spare us a moment to get some effusive praise off our collective chests. The DualSense is extraordinary. Ever since the introduction of the iconic DualShock over 20 years ago, the classic console controller hasn't really changed. Nintendo Wii briefly revolutionized gameplay with motion controls, and that technology would eventually find its way into the DualShock 3 and the DualShock 4. But aside from some subtle shape changes, PlayStation gaming has largely remained the same for decades. The DualSense is very much a traditional controller in most respects, although it is a little larger and heavier than its immediate predecessor. The biggest change then, as its name implies, is the way it feels, and honestly, you haven't experienced anything quite like this. Even the Nintendo Switch's much vaunted HD rumble doesn't live up to the haptic feedback on display here. We can talk about one world from ASTRO'S Playroom, which is named Cooling Springs. It's one of 4 environments which houses 4 individual levels. Those of you who've played Astrobot Rescue Mission on PlayStation VR will be familiar with the basic gameplay setup here. It's a traditional 3D platformer, where you control a small robot with jet propulsors in his feet. Puppeteering the protagonist though, you can instantly feel a difference to the controllers that have come before. Run across a beach, for example, and you can physically feel the protagonist's feet slip into the grains of sand. The ocean, meanwhile, feels wobbly as Astro pulls out an inflatable rin to navigate the water. There's a slippy sensation to ice and a crisp crunch to the snow. But it's not just different surfaces that are conveyed through the controller. Midway through the world, you'll put on a frog suit by zipping it up using the touchpad. This power-up allows you to bounce between platforms from a spring base. If you tilt the controller from left to right, you can literally feel the weight of the coil transfer between your hands. It's mind-boggling. And there's more. The coil also utilises the controller's adaptive triggers. This is a form of force feedback, and as you pull down on the L2 and R2 buttons to retract the spring, you can physically feel the power build beneath your finger. It's unlike anything we've ever experienced in a game ever before. It's subtle, but it adds a 4th dimension. In fact, when you pair all of this with the sensations typically associated with games, lush 4K visuals, a smooth 60 frames per second, and a vivid, colourful art style, you have the makings of an unforgettable experience. The sound design, using PlayStation 5's new 3D audio technology, gives greater depth to the soundscape, while the presentation is razor sharp throughout. And if all of that wasn't enough, the core campaign is a beautifully crafted love letter to the history of PlayStation. Over the course of of the Cooling Springs world, you'll find references to iconic, and sometimes not so iconic, franchises and characters, all culminating in a final environment inspired by the PlayStation 3's legendary XMB interface. We're not making this up, look at it, it's glorious. We'll, of course, have more to say about Astro's Playroom and the DualSense controller in the coming days, but if it's not obvious enough already, Sony's onto an absolute winner here. We're wary of overselling the experience and misaligning expectations, but honestly, it'd take a cynical player to be anything less than head over heels here. We'll have more to say soon. So there we have it, our impressions of the DualSense controller and the first world of Astro's Playroom. Are you excited to finally get your hands on a DualSense controller and play through Astro's Playroom when the PlayStation 5 launches on both the 12th and 19th of November? Let me know in that comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation 5 impressions moving forward. Thank you, as always, for watching.